Hello, and today is the beginning of March, which means it's time to do the end of February reading wrap-up. I managed to read 9 books, I think, so I'm gonna get started. I already have my fancy headband on for the vibes, and let's get started. So the first book I finished was Royally Matched by Mckenna James. And it, as by the title as you can tell, it is about a prince of some fictional country, obviously in Europe. That's usually where they have them. And he is at this event where he's supposed to be meeting women for potential wife, and he meets this cellist who is playing in the orchestra and is drawn to her and eventually falls in love with her. I liked this book. It has like the Cinderella vibes. And as when I say Cinderella vibes, I mean that the rich falling in love with the poor kind of thing. And in these kind of stories, there's usually someone who doesn't want them to be together, and usually is the reason why they split up, and that is the dad or the king. The king does not approve of her, and there will be a little spoiler. He ends up escaping and going to America, coming back to America to see her, and basically try to get the public on his side to convince the king to let him be with her. And I loved that part. It was my favorite part in the book. Next up, we have Sweet Captivity by Julia Sykes. And as you can kind of tell from the cover, it is a darker romance. It's a mafia romance. She is an FBI agent. He is not the leader of the mafia. He's like the younger brother of the leader of the mafia. And she is working on a case. It's her first case on the desk. She usually works in like she's a hacker, so she works in that department, whatever department that is. And she gets caught, like she was seen by one of their lowers, and is followed home and then captured, and she is then given to him to be trained, and so that she can do their bidding while working with the FBI. There is trigger warning, and I will leave it in the description. So if there's things that you're just like, it's not for you, then just skip this book. But it was nice. I don't want to give too much away when I'm talking about these books, so I'm not going to, but I really like the book. Now, the next 4 books I read was like in one, but I'm counting it as 4 books because it was 740 pages according to this, and I want to talk about it. It's another dark romance. I started another book, but I ended up finishing this one before the other one. So this is All Who Ever Be by Willow Winters. I checked this out at the ebook on Libby so that I could read some TikTok books, because I wanted to see if like the TikTok books are worth the hype. And this book is really good. I like this book. So mafia. They never actually say they're in the mafia, but they are. I'm just gonna say that now. And a long time ago, he was like, not really attacked, but he was attacked. He was beat up. And he hears this voice, and he hears and thinks, and is basically saved his life was saved because of this voice. And so years later, he resented the voice, and then he learned to like, thought he loved and everything that stood, and saw it as an opportunity, and decided that he needed to have this person, and ends up kind of starting a war. No, he didn't really start the war. The war was going to happen anyway, but he kind of kicked it off by having her captured. He falls in love with her, and in one, I see, because they're all attached into one book. If I feel like if I say something from like the second or third book, it kind of gives away what's going on in the whole thing. But at the same time, isn't that the point? So I'm gonna say, like, at one point her family tries to come and get her. It's a while after. It's like, I would say weeks after, and she kind of feels like they're never gonna come and get her, or she's like, part of her's hoping and part of her's trying to like leave on her own and trying to escape, and they try to get her. There's a phone call, and her dad basically says that someone's coming to get her, but in the code, so he doesn't know, and so she doesn't say anything. But then later on, she's thinking about it, and she goes to tell. She's like, "Oh, I should tell him," and then he goes to tell him, and they're already there, and so they have already captured her family, and is set to, and she finds a gun on the floor and decides that she is going to, no, you're not going to take my family, and holds it up to him, and he's like betrayed, and she's like, let them go, and he does let them go, and he decides afterwards, after that he lets them go, that he was just gonna do it anyway, but his brother kind of like stops that, and he's like, no, we're gonna let them go, just gonna let them go, because later on he'll regret it or something, and he feels kind of that betrayal and stuff like that, and she was loyal to her family, and he's trying to like, I don't know. But that part I feel like is a thing to talk about. I like ooh, what's gonna happen, kind of thing, and so that becomes a thing, and he kind of holds on to that for a good chunk of time until she kind of I think, because he like forgives her, and then she does something else, and so like, because she just wants to escape. She wants to go back to her family. She doesn't want the war to happen. She doesn't want her family dead. She wants her family to be alive and well and stuff. And so they have this like arc back and forth until like the end. The dust clears and her family is safe and stuff, and he's okay. That was good. I liked this book. The book had me like on my edge of my seat. I was like, had to like finish it. It started off slow, but once I got into it, I just like was able to like push through and like just read it all the way through. I finished it within like 4 days, I would say. So that was really good. Any book that I can like, even though if it starts, because sometimes books not really start slow, but I'm slow to grab onto it. But once I've picked it up, I'm able to just like run with it. And if it's like, really good, so this book was really good. I really enjoyed it. I also went to the library and got some books, and one of the books I finished before I finished the other one, and I took it back, but I did a video on it, and I'm gonna put it so you can see it. And I really enjoyed that book. I forgot the name of it. What's the name of it? I'm really drawing a blank right now because all I'm thinking about is this one right now. But it was a really good book. Oh, The Worst Best Man. I figured it out because I was just like, different authors. By Mia Sosa. I really enjoyed that book. I can't tell you about it right now. Wait, you know what? I think, yeah, I'm gonna leave. I already did a video on it. Different makeup, different look, but I really enjoyed that book. And I'm gonna talk about it in this part here. So I just finished The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. I really enjoyed this book. It is about a wedding planner whose nuptials were canceled and was blamed by the best man. That's why he's known as the worst best man. And a few years later, she has this opportunity to become a wedding planner for this hotel company and decides to go for it. And in order for her to be in the running, she has to work with her ex-fiance's brother in order to do that. Okay, so next book is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. I'm terrible with last names. So here, this is what it looks like. I really liked this book as well. Okay, so wedding date. So they get stuck in an elevator together, and they start like flirting, and they eat cheese together, and he eventually, like, I don't know if it's during that time or another time. No, it's during that time, I think. He invites her to be his date to a wedding of one of his ex-girlfriends because he got roped into it. He's like the best man or something. And needed, because his other date backed out. And so she said yes. They go to the wedding, have a great time, spend the weekend together, and then they go back and forth. They fly because they're both in California, but she's in Northern California and he's in Los Angeles area. And so every weekend they would fly to see each other. They would just alternate weekends when they would go to see the other person. And I felt that was really nice. I really liked they have the money because he is a doctor and she went to law school. She's not a lawyer anymore, but she's like the mayor's chief of staff. But I really like that they were able to go and see each other because they lived 500 miles away from each other. I thought that was really nice. They do have some hiccups because he's not really into the whole dating, and he's not really looking for a serious relationship, but somehow he just wants to spend more time with her, and he's like, I should break it off, but doesn't because he wants more time with her and still wants to date her and stuff like that. I find that to be, I love that when they're like, I don't really like dating, but I really like her. I don't really want it to end. When they can't communicate, I just want to, I don't want to this to be over. But I really like this book. Yeah, it's a good book. I definitely recommend this book. The last book I finished in February, I started before I went to the library, but then I put it on pause because I had a bunch of library books that I wanted to read. And since I own this one, I didn't have to rush to finish, so I just finished it yesterday. The Reluctant Concubine by Dana Marton. It is a saga. I didn't read the whole saga. I only finished the first one. This book is an epic fantasy. Hasn't come into her powers just yet, but she does have healing abilities, meaning she knows the right herbs and the right things to heal a person. Her father sells her for 12 jewels, I would say, because the first offer was 10 and he said she's worth at least 15, and he settled for 12. And so she is shipped off and becomes a slave in this other realm. Countries, I don't know. But she eventually, she's planning her escape. She finds someone who's from her original homeland, and he's going to help her escape. And before she can, the High Lord of the region, the whole region, not like the mini regions, takes her and claims her, basically. And they go back to his original, where he lives, where the castle is. She's no longer a slave, and he says, you're no longer a slave, but you can't leave. You're staying here with me. So whenever he goes off to fight battles, not really war, it's war, but it's battles. And while he's gone, she basically heals the town, like the city. Not everyone in it, but she does, like, that's mostly what she does. And she comes into her powers in this part. She comes into her powers, and she overexerts herself and ends up spending like a day or two unconscious, because she uses her ability too often and for like strenuous amount of time. Like it depletes her energy, and so he doesn't want her doing it anymore, because she could harm herself. So she still wants to heal, and she has to find use her herbs and things to heal. She also finds out she has a higher purpose, and other things. There's a lot happens in this book. It's not that long of a read, but a lot does happen. I did enjoy it. It's pretty slow to start, and then it kind of picks up. But it's definitely I think like a lot of epic fantasies are gonna have like a slow start. At least they do for me. So they start off slow and then like pick up. That is all I read for February. I know I said I was going to finish reading the books that I didn't finish in January, but since I decided to check out library books and read those, I put those on the back burner, and at the end of the year I probably would try to pick them up again to see if I actually would want to read them, continue reading them. I have a big stack of like library books I'm trying to go through. I'm going to be reading Touch of Darkness, the trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. Have those checked out. And I got some some ebooks I'm trying to read. And so I have a lot planned reading wise this month. I don't really have like a full list. I just have like the library books I've checked out, and some ebooks I already own, and one or two that are coming from the library on Libby. But that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, give this video a thumbs up if you would like, subscribe if you want to, and until next time, drink some water, eat a snack, play a fidget toy, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye!